So ladies and gentlemen, in this video, you probably noticed it already if you've been following my Instagram channel. One of our Leopard Gecko hatchlings just hatched out from the incubator. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you guys how I set up my tank for new hatchlings. But before I begin, if you could press that like button for the YouTube algorithm, I really appreciate it. But without further ado, let's start the intro. So when you find your hatchling in the deli cup or egg tray, before you even open it, let's set up the tank first. First, you want to spray down the whole entire glass enclosure or plastic tub, like me, if you have a rack system. I normally keep it wet all times until they reach 15 grams. The hatchling must shed before you feed, so don't feed anything until you see their shed. Now, for those who may not have enough time or owns multiple geckos, which it causes you to not monitor 24/7, in this case, what I like to do is I will look for the poop majority of the time. By the time when they poop, it probably means they have shed already, and sometimes you might not be able to see their shed because majority of the time they eat their first shed. So if you see the poop, that means they have been digesting well, and that's when you start wanting to feed insects. Now for the poop, when you see them, you definitely want to replace the paper towel or eco earth as frequent as possible, just to keep your whole entire setup clean all the time. So by doing it that way, it's gonna be clean and your geckos will be drinking the clean water all the time. So once that's done, that's when I will start hand feeding. Some geckos manage to eat themselves without any assist, but for me, I would literally hand feed each of my geckos in the beginning process, just to check up their condition, like their fingers, their head, their tails, their eyes. I would literally check everything to see if they're in a good conditions. For the food size, you never want to feed anything that's bigger than their head size. So when you feed, try not to give something that's too big, because if it's too big, it's gonna be really hard for them to swallow, and if it's too big, it could also lead to chokes. So they could choke to death if it's too big. So always try to get the really fine size that are smaller than their head size. So I recommend pin-sized cricket or tiny dubious. Best recommendation will start the mealworm, because it's really easy to find in the market, and really mealworm is not really that big, so that's a really good start. Now be aware, not all geckos are going to eat well, so some geckos need assist feeding, so that's why I initially hand feed for the first time to see if they are good eater. And also some geckos don't like mealworms and they only eat crickets, which some geckos are a little bit picky. In that cases, you definitely want to have multiple insects ready in your hand. If your gecko doesn't like mealworms, then you can feed crickets. From my experience, it normally takes about 3 to 4 days to feed for the first time, because by that time they have been pooped and they shed already. So that's when I would start feeding the first meal. But sometimes some geckos may not eat till 7 days. So take your time if your gecko is not eating. It's just some geckos may need more times to digest. Every gecko is a little bit different, so you definitely want to understand each single of your geckos. Now, if you are going for the bowl feeding options where you just put insects in the bowl and just let them eat their own, always look for the poop. By looking at the poop, if they've been pooping multiple places and you see really healthy looking poop, then most likely they've been eating pretty well. And if you don't see any poop, then you gotta look into that gecko more carefully to see if they're actually eating. But this is really rare cases, so when your gecko is still not eating well, if you want to cut the insects into half and apply that juice around their face, like around their mouth, nose, so they can smell it and they can taste it. This will help them notice the food quicker and eventually eat in couple tries. If that still doesn't work, we have more details in assist feeding videos that I created in previously. So if you check that video out, it will literally give you all the options and all my recommendations how you can feed when your gecko is very picky. And just in case, I will include it in the description for the link for you guys to review, or put it in the top corner in the box so you can just simply click and watch that video. For those who are having a hard time feeding, after you reviewed all my videos and try multiple ways. If that still doesn't work, and if you're looking for alternative food options, we have Foodie Buy on our website, which is like an insect pudding for the gecko. So if you feed them, it literally have all the ingredients you need. So you don't really need to worry about like the nutrition side, because the pudding itself, that powder, it comes in a powder, and you just mix it with the water and basically dissolve that powder and turn it into pudding. I have a video about this, so you can watch that video, but basically it's made from the insects. So they literally have all the ingredients, and it's super safe, and it's really easy to keep, and it doesn't smell bad. So I highly recommend it to try if you are looking for alternative options. Once they've grown around 15 grams, that's when I would start feed every other day. So if you've been feeding every day for the newborn hatchling, which that's how I do it. Every day I'll feed new hatchling, and once they start reaching 15 grams, then that's when I will feed every other day. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday, like the other day. And when they get bigger and became like other size, then that's when I will start feeding twice a week or 2-3 times a week. It really varies depending on what the situation is. But if it's a breeding season and your female is laying egg, you definitely want to feed more. But if it's not a season, then you can just literally feed 2 times a week. Now, this is pretty much all you need for hatchlings. So it's not really complicated. Try it out. Everyone is a little bit different. This is how I do with the baby leopard gecko. So try for yourself and see if that works for you as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, hope you all got a value out of this video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do so, because I do share a lot of great content about leopard geckos and red-eyed skinks. So please subscribe, and if you have any questions, feel free to write a comment down below. I'll answer your questions in a comment if it's really short to answer, but if it's long, then I'll create some kind of video like this to help you guys understand a lot better with your questions. Thank you guys for watching my video until now, and I'll see you guys in the next one.